I can hear myself. I gotta mute that. I gotta mute that for sure. Alrighty, so we're gonna get going a very requested topic. Above all else, this is the number one topic that everybody wants to solve for, right? Which is getting listings, how to generate listings this year. All right, so I think that it's going there. Awesome, awesome. So as you're coming in today, let's see what y'all got going on. So today we're looking at listings, and it's something that, you know, every time, whether it's a video about content marketing, whether it's a video on Facebook ads, whether it's a video on Google ads, it doesn't matter. The question always comes back to, does this work to generate sellers? Does this work to generate listings? Because as we know, in real estate, the career path is getting our real estate license, working as a buyer's agent, or really working with anybody, whether it's a lease, whether it's a buyer, working with whatever. The entry point is easiest with buyers. And there's several reasons for that, but we don't have time to get into that today. So we start with buyers, and then we, migrate and start the listing side. Now there are exceptions, of course. There's some agents that start right out of the gate working with sellers, and God bless you. Way to go. Way to hack the system. But not everybody is that way. Most of the time you start with buyers. Anybody that'll listen, anybody that will use you as a real estate agent, your career. So the reason that we come back to the listing side oftentimes is because there's less work. Let's just be real. There's less work on the listing side. The challenging part is getting in front of a home seller and then closing the deal, so locking up the listing. But after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. You wait for the buyer's agents and the buyers to kind of do a majority of the work. So that's where a lot of people want to get to, because at that point, you really amplify your business. So not only are you generating business from the listings themselves, because you get to put mini billboards in 5, 10, 20 listings that you might have on the ground, which brings you additional business and you can exponentially grow. But compare that with, let's just say you had 10 listings. Well, once you have those 10 listings and you have your yard signs on the ground, those 10 listings will out there multiply and bring you buyer babies. So bring you a lot more clients. So from that standpoint, you can work with 10 clients relatively easy from the listing side. Well, if you had 10 buyer clients, it's a little bit different, because then you have to arrange the showings. You have to go to the showings. You have to do all of the work, submit the offers and all that fun stuff. So working with 10 listings is radically different than working with 10 buyers. So that's why we all want to get to that part of the equation. That's why we all want to get to that side of the business. But starting out, it can be challenging. So today what we're looking at is how to generate the listings. Now, we understand that if this was simple, and let me rephrase that, if this was easy, everybody would be doing this. Everybody would be getting listings and the world would be a better place for it. Manny, generating listing ads are pain. Yeah, they are. They absolutely are. And we're going to talk about that here shortly, but understanding that it is challenging. Let's start acknowledging it for what it is. This is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So let's get away from the mindset of, I'm going to run this ad in 3 hours. That's just not going to happen. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule, but let's just be clear about what it is and what it is not. So if you're looking for the hack, if you're looking for the absolute, is this going to happen? This is going to happen today, and it's going to happen for $0. That's silly. That's silly. So that's something I really just wanted to address out front. So before we get into our strategies, now let's get into it. We're going to look at 3 strategies to generate listings, to generate home sellers that want to sell, speaking with the home owners so we can actually generate some business. So number 1 is digging into our well. So look at our past clients. Now, when you look at your past clients, you may have put somebody into a home for a lease. You may have put you may have actually helped them sell their house in the previous transaction, But what we fail to do oftentimes is we go out and try to get new, but we forget about our past people. We forget about the people that already trusted us once. Statistically, they liked your service. And you can look this up on NAR. I was actually on NAR this earlier as I was recording another video. Statistically, what NAR is telling us is that the people that you put into a house, they would over like 75% would use you again in their next real estate purchase, but less than half of them do. And that's because out of sight, out of mind. So again, over 75% of the people that you helped in the past would absolutely use you again, but less than half of that ever use you again, because you lost track of time, or you lost track of your clients. So we forget to go back to our past clients and really work our database. And by the time you find out or remember that, hey, John and Jill, they by the time you remember John and Jill again, well, they're over in the closing table with another agent. So that's how we get reminded. To our past clients, we really need to start nurturing them. And here's some simple ways to actually generate listings from these. Every single year, everybody should be doing a tax assessment. Doesn't matter if you have a W-2 position or a 1099 position, you should be doing a tax assessment. And this should be happening around October or so. Yeah, some people push it to December, but I like to do my tax assessment in October because I have time to correct some mistakes, if you will, on, hey, maybe I should make that purchase so then I can depreciate it. Maybe I should do X to the next year. So if you're tax planning on January 1st, you're late. We're absolutely late. You cannot do anything at that point. It's already spilt milk. So that's why the tax planning happens. In October, a part of the tax strategy for your clients should revolve around property taxes, should revolve about their home. Now, you're not an accountant. I'm not pretending that you are, but giving your clients an opportunity to see the the valuation of their home to them. Now, there's going to be some clients that, there's going to say, no, I don't want to know how much my house is. But if you're providing that type of value in October, November, December, January, you're making that offer available to them. Some people are going to see, wow, yeah, I would like to know how much my house is worth. Well, when they find out that it's 80% more than when they purchased it 3 years ago, then they might be open to a conversation. Then they might be open to, or have a sense that, wow, next year I'm going to really have to pay a lot of property taxes, and I don't feel comfortable paying that much property tax on a house that I was paying whatever percentage less 3 years ago. So you're helping people from that perspective, and more than anything, you're informing, you're providing value, and educating your past clients that happen to have a house, and I'll talk about those that may not, that are ready to make that jump again. So it's that nurture, is that going back to the past clients. Now, one of the questions that's going to come up, well, Jaime, I haven't sold a dang house. I haven't sold a single house to anybody, so I don't have past clients. That's totally valid. But simply because you haven't sold a house doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't sold a house for somebody else, obviously. So what that means is you can find people's information. You can either purchase data or go to your MLS and do some reverse hacking, doing some reverse engineering, and seeing when somebody purchased a home. So if it's a community that has a high turnover rate, and we're about to get molecular here, so bear with me. I know that some of us kind of don't want to go into the weeds here, but we kind of have to. If you know of a neighborhood that's generally a starter home neighborhood, where the prices are relatively low, there's a high turnover rate. So whenever somebody purchases their starter home, statistically within 3 to 4 years, they're out of that home. So the cycle there. So you understand data. So when you farm a neighborhood that's a starter home neighborhood, well, kind of when you need to start marketing to that community. So if it's a starter home neighborhood, We're looking at, if it's a 3 to 4, statistics are telling us 3 to 4 years they're going to be out of that home. Well, we need to start marketing on year 2, right? So we're saving a little bit of money in that regard. But having this understanding real estate from a macro perspective really helps you in the micro, because you understand that pattern. Or else you're just going to be blasting mailers to everybody. You're going to be calling everybody. You're going to be emailing everyone. Now, if you have the time and you have the capital to do so, please do. This is your business. This is your career. But if you don't, let's get effective. Let's get effective with our time. So what that means, if you don't have past clients to go back to the well and get them out of that home, that sounded bad. You're not getting them out of their home. You're helping them. Let's go with that. If you don't have past clients, then the data is out there. So you can start looking for individuals that have moved to a community. Again, if it's a starter community, if it's a more established community where this is a second, the homeowners, then the statistically it's going to be around 7 to 9 years or so. So people aren't going to be as likely to move immediately. So you have a little bit of time. So that's how you start playing those averages. Now, again, if you have the time or the capital to invest in every single person within that neighborhood, great. But if not, this is how you do it. And buying people's data is incredibly easy to do. It's just going to require a little bit of a capital expense, and either calling them directly, emailing them to social media, but providing something of value. So as I mentioned, when you're looking at the tax preparedness of most individuals, it's lacking. So you can help in that regard. I'm not suggesting that you become an accountant. I'm just suggesting that you provide value. And generally with homeowners, the big thing is property taxes. The big thing is home improvement. It's a huge asset that they now have, $300,000, $500,000, $800,000, that they really want to maximize the return from. So that's your responsibility. And it goes far beyond just setting a sales price, because you actually don't dictate it. It's the market that dictates how much they're going to receive. So let's understand it from that perspective. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. As you're coming in, let me know where you're listening from, and also a like is going to go a long way. It's going to help magnify the broadcast. All righty, so let's get going. Now, today we're looking again at listings. We are focused on listings, and one of the most ready, willing, and able client that you're ever going to stumble upon is your FSBOs and expireds. So FSBOs, first sale by owner, people that are taking it upon themselves to sell their property. Now, whether they're capable of doing it or not capable of doing it, that's a different conversation. But this is the profile of a individual that is taking their life into their own hands and selling their property because they either don't value what real estate, or they're overconfident in what they bring to the table. So they don't see the need to spend 6%, 5%, whatever percent they're paying to their agents. They just don't see that value. So the FSBO, that's what's happening. Expireds are whenever somebody starts working with the real estate agent, you get a listing agreement. And in your listing agreement, everyone operates different. You have agents that'll do 3 months. They're comfortable doing 3 months of the term of the contract. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It just depends. So it's a listing agreement with the homeowner saying that I'm responsible for selling this house, but you're also responsible for working with me. If this house sells, then I get paid regardless. So from that standpoint, if it's a 6-month contract, as an example, once the day after the 6 months happens and the property has not sold, that's what's called an expired. So the MLS itself will actually share this information with you, saying that 5 homes were expired. So what happens in that case is, as soon as that expired happens, a ton of real estate agents will call the homeowner. And rightly so. The property did not sell and it's expired. Now, the challenge with that is that all of the people that are calling this homeowner now, well, that's going to be, depending on your market, it could be 5 p.m., it could be 50 people that call before 8 a.m. So you really have to be cognizant of that and really get good at your script. So let's macro for a second. FSBOs and expireds, they have a need, and that is selling their home. You don't even have to find out if they're homeowners because you know that. You don't even have to find out if they're considering selling their home because you know that. Because why? Because they're either listing their house themselves or they listed it with a real estate agent. So you already have a hot and ready person ready to go, ready to sell. It just so happens that it hasn't sold yet. So now your responsibility is to now wedge your way in there. I can't think of a better way of saying it, but from a FSBO perspective, you have to overcome the resistance of that avatar that does not value the real estate agent for the most part. There's other reasons. Maybe they don't have the money to pay a real estate agent. They would love to, but they just can't. But for the most part, you have to work with the personality type of somebody that does not want to work with an agent for the most part. Right? So it's from the FSBO side. So you have to be able to overcome that. Whenever a FSBO goes out to market, you will need to call them and just inquire a little bit more. Now, the common script is, hey, I just saw that your market, I'm sorry, I wanted to see if I could bring you a buyer. Do you mind if I check out the house as a pre-showing? Well, the downside to that is that you're sharing that you have a buyer. And unless you have a buyer, that's not ethical. And I know that it's shared. I know that it's shared quite a bit by the big coaching companies out there. But I don't really true. Unless you have a buyer, that's just not happening. Or at least it will happen. I think it's just the wrong way of approaching it. So from a FSBO perspective, that's what we're looking at. From an expired perspective, as mentioned, once the listing goes dead, if you will, once the listing goes expired, then you have the ability of calling those homeowners. And how you get the data is through companies like RedX, Vulcan7. They'll sell you the data, and they have programs where they'll only send you expireds, or they'll share with you the expired contact information. So there's ways to reach out to the individuals, whether it's FSBOs, that one's easy because they put their contact information, they're waiting for calls. And from the expireds, that one's also simple because there's some companies that will give you their contact information. So these are some of the most high converting strategies that you're going to ever have in terms of if you can get in front of the homeowner, if you can speak to them. So again, let's just say in the marketplace, there's 20 FSBOs and there's 10 expireds for all intents and purposes. Well, 20 FSBOs and 10 expireds, let's call that a pool of 30. Of those 30, at least 20 of those will sell. At least 20 of those will sell. So that conversion rate of people that actually want to sell, that is going to happen. Now, the reason that it's not 100% is because some people change their mind. Either they didn't get the price that they wanted, or they just got burnt out. But you know that they are ready to go. It's just the competition that you have there is a little bit fierce. But with that understanding, it goes back to the previous point that I made before we started. Listings are a challenge. They just are. It's not going to be a smooth sailing. Listing from Portugal, keep up the great work. Oh, good work, not great. Carlos, hey man, I appreciate you. I like Portugal. I went to Lisbon and then I went to Fatima in 2009. Yeah. Portugal's awesome. Alrighty, so FSBOs and expires. That is, again, it's difficult. It really is difficult, but it is well worth it. If you can really dial in your scripts, if you can get effective at getting in front of these individuals, you can make an entire career of FSBOs and expired alone. So I know plenty of agents that is their only listing strategy. And they're doing over 100 transactions a year. Social media, this had to come up. And I'm going to get very specific on how to do this, but with social media, you're able to speak one to many. That's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter if you have 300 friends, doesn't matter if you have 3,000 friends, it's one to many. So with social media, you're speaking to the individuals that you want to speak to. And here's how that looks like. Whenever you're posting on social media, you're the one that dictates what you post, what type of content. If you're going to become the negative person that's like, oh, the life sucks, oh, woe is me, then you are inviting people to feel sorry for you. Sorry, that's what it is. So most of those people are out of my friends list already, but for those individuals, again, you dictate what you post. So if you start posting something about real estate, if you start posting something about that homeowners would find value, then that's the tribe that you're going to start attracting. Those are the people that are going to start listening to you. So if you're posting a lot of content that has to do with buyers, that something that buyers would love, like how to buy how to buy your first house, how to lease your first apartment, how to do whatever, well, you're speaking that language, and those are the people that you're going to attract. And the most effective way to attract listings is to post information that homeowners are going to be attracted to. It's really that simple. So I had there's an agent that I work with that was a bit frustrated because he started his YouTube channel for a bit and he was getting a lot of buyer leads, and I mean a lot of buyer leads. And his frustration was, well, I don't have any inventory, Jaime. Yeah, this YouTube thing is awesome. I'm getting these leads for free, but what good is it to have 30 buyers when I have nothing to sell them? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So I asked him, well, what were the last 3 titles of your videos? How to buy a house, what to do during your inspection, and I think one was like the option period, what to do during your option period. Well, he was speaking to home buyers, so that's who was coming at him. So it just stands to reason, if you're trying to get some home sellers, then you need to speak the language of the home sellers. You need to provide something that is going to attract home sellers. So we just talked about it. Property taxes are super important for home sellers. Home improvements are incredibly important for homeowners. Information like that is speaking directly to homeowners. So that's the tribe that you attract. So translating that into social media, what type of content should you be making? Well, it's content that has to do with home ownership. It's content that has to do with the pitfalls of selling too early or selling too late, the pitfall of hiring less than qualified agent. So you are speaking directly to the individuals that you want to connect with. Now, here's one simple strategy that you can do. Since you've hung around this long, I want to reward you with the exact script. So when it comes to social media, let's just take Facebook as an example. If you're going to post on Facebook, if you post the following: if you get 20% more than you think your home is worth, would you sell? I'll repeat that again. If you get 20% more than you think your home is worth, would you sell? If you post that on Facebook, you post that anywhere really, but if you post that on Facebook, you're going to be surprised at the results. You're speaking directly to a homeowner, right? So if you could get 20% more than you think your home is worth, would you sell? So that, I mean, there's an entire social media class that I teach, and I think I recorded it. If I remember, I'll kind of link it up here, but I can't remember if I posted this here. But my social media strategy is simple. You're creating content that engages, you're creating content that educates, and then you're creating content that invites the collaboration, essentially prospecting. This is a prospecting post. So it's that third level of posts. So we didn't have time to get into the engagement or education piece. So this is content that you're out there providing to lead up to that ask, lead up to the prospecting post, to the post that encourages people to collaborate with you. So I just went ahead and rewarded you with, since you've been hanging out with me, and thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Since you've been hanging out with me, I just went ahead and rewarded you with that prospecting post. So when you make that post on your social media, you're going to be surprised at how many people reach out to you. Now, 20%, where did I come up with that number? Nobody knows. The number does not matter. That's just a starting point. You can put 50% if you want. You can put 100% if you want. It does not matter. You can put 5%. The reason that it doesn't matter is because that's a starting point. People are going to respond back. Some of them are going to, the people that are funny, they're going to respond back with a funny comment. People that are negative, they're going to come back with a negative comment. People that are logical are going to come back with the logical comment. Doesn't matter. So when somebody says, yeah, I'd sell for 20% more, cool. Then you get on the phone with them, or you get in their DMs as quickly as possible. Some people are going to say, no, it'd have to be 30%. Awesome. Well, now you have a starting point. So there's going to be some people that DM you and say, how does that happen? Well, these are conversations. Again, these are people that are self-identifying as potential leads for you, or not potential. These are leads for you. So when it comes to this type of post, again, there's a lot more to this, but first, you're going to want to make content that engages. Second, you're going to want to make content that educates and build that relationship. And then third, you're going to make comments, posts like the ones that I just shared, like the one that I just shared, because that is a prospecting post that's designed to get people to actually work with you. So folks, it's been absolutely a pleasure hanging out with you today. If you have any questions about anything about the strategies that we talked about Facebook ads, Google ads, about EXP, about anything and everything, let me know. And also comment down below which one of these strategies you're presently using. I would love to be a resource in any way that I can. Outside of that, I'll talk to you again on, I think, Friday.